Part 1, The Calling Within the Young Soul. Francis was born into gold. But his soul was never of this world. Son of a wealthy cloth merchant, he grew up surrounded by luxury, music, and dreams of fame. But there was something in his eyes. Something beyond the noise. While other boys chased glory in war or laughter in the taverns, Francis stared at the sky, as if waiting to hear a call. And it came, not through angels or thunder, but in the silence of Assisi's nights, in the hollow space no wine, no friend could ever fill. He was different, though he didn't know why. Francis could feel it. There was something more, beyond wealth, beyond pride, beyond himself, and that is how the journeys of the chosen ones begin, not with answers, but with a sacred restlessness. He didn't know it yet, but he had already been touched, marked, chosen, and the soul that longed to fly was about to be carried far beyond anything this world could offer. Part 2, The Fall That Leads to Awakening. He sought human glory, but destiny had already carved another path. Francis, driven by honor and youthful fire, enlisted for war, wearing shining armor and dreams of greatness. But dreams, shattered, captured as a prisoner, he came to know the cold of stone walls, the weight of hunger, and the silence of lonely prayers. Months in a dark cell, and something within him began to die, or rather, began to be born. Gold lost its glow, glory lost its taste, and the ego began to dissolve, tear by tear, in the hidden shadows of suffering. When he returned, he was unrecognizable, not to the world, but to himself. And when he tried to resume his old life, nothing made sense anymore. The parties felt empty. The fine clothes, like masks. The laughter no longer reached his soul. Then came the illness, fever, visions, shaking between life and death. And there, on that threshold, he saw, not with the eyes, but with the soul. Francis had not lost everything, he had been stripped. So that, finally, he could see. That's always the way of the chosen ones. They are not destroyed by pain. They are revealed through it. Part 3, The Encounter with the Living Christ. He walked, as one searching for something he could not yet name, and it was among ruins, in an old forgotten chapel, that the invisible became visible. The church of San Damiano. There, in silence broken only by the wind, he knelt before the crucifix, eyes carved from wood, yet alive, a face unmoving, yet speaking straight to the soul. And then, a voice, not in his ears, but in the depths of spirit. Francis, rebuild my church, which you see is falling into ruin. The earth paused. Time unraveled. Francis didn't understand everything, but he grasped what mattered. Right there, in that instant, he knew. He knew it wasn't madness, that the suffering had meaning, that there was a calling, and it was real. The living Christ was not a symbol. He was presence. He was mission. He was destiny. And the chosen one said yes, not in words, but in tears, in knees upon the ground, in a soul stripped bare. That was the moment Francis died to the world, and was born to the divine. Part 4, The Choice of Radical Vow. He returned home, but it was no longer his. His father, furious, demanded answers. The clothes, the wealth, the business future, all being cast aside. Francis smiled, and did the unthinkable. In the town square of Assisi, before all, he removed his garments, returned his father's name, and clothed himself in poverty. Now I can truly say, Our Father, who art in heaven. It wasn't drama, it was a right, a total surrender. There, Francis stripped himself before men to be clothed in invisible light. He had made his choice, to live with nothing, in order to possess everything. He slept in fields, ate scraps, tended to lepers, with bare hands, and strangely, he radiated joy, a calm, unshakable joy, as if he were already walking in both worlds. Many mocked him, some followed him, but few understood. That radical vow was not madness, it was freedom. The chosen ones do not belong to man's logic. They live on the edge between heaven and earth, and for that, they are feared. Part 5, The Birth of a New Order. Francis walked, and the earth followed. Where he stepped, flowers would bloom, birds descended from the heavens, and lepers smiled. But he did not speak of revolution. He spoke of conversion, of return, of detachment, and that was more dangerous than any sword. Men and women began to draw near, not by promises of wealth, but but by the vibration of the invisible. They felt that something in him did not belong to this world, and so it was born, with no army, no gold, no temple, an order, the order of the lesser ones, of those who wash feet, of those who bow, to lift the fallen, a brotherhood of souls, clothed in nothing, yet carrying everything. The forest was their monastery, the sky, their roof, the birdsong, their sacred hymn. Francis was not a leader, he was the least among them, and for that, he became a beacon. True chosen ones do not seek to lead, they become guides, because they carry light, and light always draws near. Part 6, The Miracles and the Stigmata. The years passed, yet Francis seemed lighter, as if his soul was slowly slipping from the body. Nature listened to him, fire obeyed him, water stilled at his touch. Once, he preached to a wolf, and the wolf wept. It wasn't dominance, it was communion. His body was frail, but his presence stirred even the unbelievers. And then, on Mount La Verna, in a moment of deep ecstasy, the sky opened. A burning light, shaped like a seraph, descended upon him, and the wounds of Christ were etched into his hands, his feet, his side. It wasn't a metaphor, it was torn flesh, it was pain and glory. Francis had become a living mirror of the crucified. He did not seek the stigmata, they found him, as a seal, as the mark of the chosen one, and wherever he walked thereafter, silence followed. Even the birds flew in reverence. Part 7, Death as Transfiguration. The body could no longer contain the light. Francis was leaving, but there was no fear. To him, death was not an end, it was a return. He called death sister, and welcomed her as one welcomes an old friend. He lay on the earth, bare, his face turned toward the heavens. He asked for singing, and he smiled. His eyes reflected another world, a world with no chains, no gold, no vanity. And then, in a breath that seemed to stretch across centuries, Francis departed. But he did not vanish. Flowers grew around his body, birds came by the thousands, and the people wept and sang all at once, because they knew something sacred had happened. Francis left no inheritance. He left a path, a frequency, a vibration that still echoes. In the humble, in the servants, in those who love the unseen, the chosen one is not remembered for strength, but for surrender. And Francis surrendered everything, even his very life, as an offering to the mystery. And in silence, he still speaks. Epilogue, The Silent Calling. If you've come this far, perhaps something within you is awakening too, because the story of Francis is not only his, it belongs to all who listen to the invisible, to all who feel they don't quite belong to this world. He did not seek glory, he built no temple, he collected nothing, and yet, the earth bowed before him, perhaps, because he bowed first. If your heart beats differently, if the wounds of the world speak directly to your soul, if beauty in the small things moves you, then listen. It's not weakness, it's a sign, a reminder that the true chosen ones are not born to shine alone, but to light fires in others. And maybe Francis is calling you now, not with words, but with presence, because the chosen recognize each other in the silence.